Well, a very good evening to you, race fans. Welcome back for more iRacing action right here with the Alliance Sim Racing Supercar Championship, supported, of course, by Solarguard St. Cobain. And tonight we head into round 4, trading some of the open circuits we've seen for something a little more synonymous with V8 Supercar racing. We're going to the unforgiving walls of Belle Isle here at the Detroit GP circuit. It's a very, very tricky street circuit, and precision will be the name of the game tonight for these drivers, with no room for error at all as we get onto one of the many amazing street circuits that we can take to here in iRacing. Concrete on both sides, very close, no runoff, blind braking zones, and some pretty nasty curbs thrown in there as well this evening. My name is Jared Cole. Welcome on back, or indeed welcome for the first time tonight if you are just checking us out for the first time. I've got in the booth with me once again Josh Harris, and Josh, it's always nice to come back to something that is a little bit more what we are used to seeing with the supercars, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Jared. Good evening. Hello, welcome along everyone at home. And you're absolutely right. This is supercars country. This is what we're all about in these cars. It's a lot of fun to be here, Jared. Big curbs, big risk, big reward. I think we're going to see some carnage. Let's be honest, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
That's kind of half the joy, isn't it? I think of street circuits. But anyhow, the track temp starting to warm up very, very quickly here. For the drivers, it was sitting at about 19-20 degrees as they went through their practice session, now jumping up to 33, so a little bit of extra temperature, not going to hurt the grip available early on in the tyre life. The air temp a beautiful 18 degrees and not a cloud in the sky, so some perfect weather to go racing across 2 races here this evening. Drivers out on track undergoing qualifying as we speak, but then a 14-lap sprint to start us off, and a 35-lap second race, which will also entail 2 compulsory pit stops with an overall fuel restriction tonight of 60% in the otherwise enormous tank of the Gen 3 V8 supercars. Big hello to those joining us in the chat already. G'day DJ, you should be out there doing some qualifying, my friend. And of course, a Multi-Ninja jumping in with us as well. We're on track for what should be a pretty exciting night of racing, and the championship's starting to shape up as we do approach the halfway point of this season. It looks a little like this at the moment. Dean Logsdale really picking up some great points last time around, and jumps to the top of the table, although only by 11 points if my maths is any good on a Tuesday night, Josh. Andrew Rushworth and Wayne Walker, the teammates, right there behind him in the hunt. Ken Latta and Matt Vanderkrant not too far out of it either. And still a host of very, very quick names behind them. Jason Bentz, Luke Orman, Damon Fisher, Varga's in there, Chad Vigar rounding out the top 10 a bit further back. And certainly still a lot of points on offer here across the rest of this season, but really no clear favourite as we start to get into the season proper. It's a little unusual, and honestly, I think it's going to make for some great racing over the rest of this season.
Yeah, and how exciting to see a new name again at the top. Dean's been fast for a number of seasons now, but I don't remember him being atop the ladder. But, you know, it's always good to see there's a bunch of really fast guys here, and, you know, it's good to see that we don't have, you know, just one person dominating all the time. So I'm excited to see how the rest of the season plays out, Jared.
Absolutely. As the drivers get around on their qualifying laps, we're seeing some good times coming through. So about 5 minutes or so up our sleeve before we do have a grid here to take a look at. We might try and catch some of the last bits of qualifying if that is still going on. What we will do, of course, is take a bit of a drive around this lovely track here in Detroit with none other than Simon Haynes in the Solarguard St. Cobain vehicle that he likes to take around for us on our preview runs. So let's take a bit of a look and talk us through this. Josh, what's it like as a driver here at Belle Isle?
Yeah, Joe, it's pretty cool. The front straight's not really straight, it's not very long, and then this fast 1-2 section right here, you've got a rise in the road, Joe, that really catches you out. It took me, I don't know, at least half a dozen laps before I got through turn 2 safely. Big long run down to turn 3, hard on the brakes. This is what makes supercars racing great, long straights into hard braking zones. So plenty of passing opportunities there. fairly fast turn 4 and then a really, really tricky turn 5 here. You've got to be careful. Hard to spot that inside curb. You don't want to climb too far up over that, Jared. You will get a penalty. And then another really tricky corner. There's actually, it's hard to see in this video, but there's a crest in the middle of that corner. It makes it hard to hit your marks. And then this back straight, which once again isn't straight, and you'd actually be surprised at how much the vehicles move around hard on the brakes. Once again, a great passing opportunity, and you really want to hit that apex hard, Jared. These cars love climbing up over those curbs, and that's one where you can take a huge amount of curb through these never-ending left-handers, through what is really a bus stop, and then around to the right, Jared. And by this point, we're on the run home. A couple of really difficult gear changes here, really, really bumpy track, and the car likes to burst into wheel spin. And then the second last corner, very fast, easy to go in that outside wall, and then hard on the throttle the whole way through that corner there. And now you are pinned all the way back to the finish line, which, as I said at the start, Jared, the front straight, not very straight, but that is a lap of Belle Isle. They happen quickly, Jared. 35 laps tonight. It's a mentally taxing place, but there's just nowhere to rest. It's as soon as you get into a rhythm, you're starting the lap again.
Yeah, it goes by very, very quickly, and a big part of that, I think, is, as we said earlier, this is a proper street circuit. It is all walls, really no runoff anywhere on this track, save for a couple of, I don't know if you'd even call them escape roads at the end of a couple of those straights, because the way that the barricades are set up, you're basically almost guaranteed to be ploughing into a pretty solid object. If you do miss your braking marker, if you're lucky, you might manage to thread the needle between the left and right banks of tyre wall. But even then, it's a real pain to get back out of, isn't it? There's just not a lot of options if you do get it wrong here, and so the driver's going to have to be very, very careful.
Yeah, they are. Tim Lawson said very challenging on cold tyres. Tim, I would have just stopped typing after very challenging, to be honest. It's just a really difficult track, and you're right, Jared. There's a couple of places where there's a runoff road, but there's huge big tyre walls in there, the reality is that if you're a driver that likes to let's say explore the limits of track limits, and how can you make the most out of your incident count that iRacing gives you by racking up some off tracks on corner exits and things like that. That this is a track that'll bite you, because you just can't go wide, and there's a couple of corners where you also can't go anywhere near cutting them, because you really run the car around concrete walls on corner apex as well. So tonight will reward not only consistency, but also people who can race really cleanly, because it doesn't take much of a lapse in concentration, and you've bumped a wall and bent steering and either lost a significant amount of lap time, or you've got to go into the pits.
Ryan Palmer just confirming he hates it here. He wants to go home. Look, your wish will be granted next week, Ryan. We'll be back for round 5 next week to the home country for you, mate. And just as a reminder of what's still to come here after Belle Isle, Sandown next week is going to be a very big one. A lot of these drivers love that Sandown track and should make for some great racing. Thruxton is one, I'll be honest, I've not even turned a lap at Thruxton yet, so I'm going to have to get in and do that and try to understand what that's going to be like before we get to that one on the 4th of November. And then Mexico, another new track and a very, very tricky one from my experience with it so far. Finishing up with a few classic tracks. Red Bull Ring is always good fun, although a very challenging one in a supercar. Sachsenring, a little unfamiliar with that myself. Maybe you can shed some light on it for us, Josh. But then Bathurst after that, and it's going to be a pretty awesome run home for the end of this season.
Yeah, it is. It's a really exciting calendar, to be fair, and I am not disappointed, Jared, that I'm not in the booth next week. Sandown, I can't wait. What a track! But we've got lots and lots of laps around Belle Isle to get through first. That
we do, and we're getting lined up for race number 1 here this evening. Matt Vanderkraan takes pole with Wayne Walker alongside him to start this one. Dean Logsdale and Jason Bentz right there behind them on row 2. Then Jim Caparonis gets a great qualifying run in, as does Mitch Wood. They take row 3. Mark Poynton and Luke Allman ahead of Andrew Rushworth and Damon Fisher rounding out your top 10. Then Jamie Dyke and Jamie McKnight, which is absolutely going to confuse us at some point this evening, I'm sure. Troy Sipple and Simon Haynes, the two teammates lining up together on row 7 ahead of Ryan Palmer and Stephen Varga. Then Phil Manuel and Rick Vigar ahead of Joel Oosterval and Mick Clifton to round out your top 20. Brad Hayes and Craig Schultz ahead of Simon Farrington and Andrew Johnston, with Shane Cudby and Craig Rose just a little further back. Ashley Hall and Darren Walden making an appearance there on row number 14. David Logsdale, and he just has to do it to us, doesn't he? Mitchell Steele Allison from Ugangatangus Racing is in the session tonight. I don't know that he'll necessarily be racing, but he's certainly around. Tim Nicol and Brad Grant, your safety car pilots for this evening, and I dare say we'll be expecting to see a little bit of them at some stage tonight. That's your Solar grid for race number 1. We'll go down to the track and get ready to go racing here. Josh, how long do you reckon before we see the first safety car? Are we making it to the end of the first lap?
No.
Yeah,
although,
I think that's a pretty safe call.
Actually, you know what? If you're not in the Discord, get along, come and jump in the Discord, have a chat to all these guys. It's a great fun place to be. But what I will say, is that there was an announcement this week, and the guys were, I guess it was suggested that they may wish to crash into each other a little less, and so maybe they really took that to heart. yeah, maybe they really took that to heart, though, Jared, and we will see some good, clean, super respectful racing. But on a track like this, where you start on a corner, I just don't see it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I don't think it's actually going to have anything to do with particularly aggressive door banging here tonight, although these guys do love to get into a bit of that. I don't think that's what's going to be what does it tonight. I reckon it's going to be cold tyres and that little crest out of turn, I guess you'd call it turn 3-ish, right? Turn 2. It's a really, really tough corner. That little hump in the road with a supercar on super cold tyres and at full noise as you try to establish yourself coming off the grid. It's a recipe for disaster, and we are about to see just what that brings us as we get ready to go racing here for race number 1 this evening. We've got 14 laps ahead of us, and it will be an absolute sprint all the way to the end. We've got the green flag somewhere down the back of the grid, so we are ready to go racing. We're under starters orders as the lights come up. Look for Vanderkrant and Walker. Let's see who gets the jump as we get underway for race number 1, and both drivers getting a great start over the rest of the grid as we make our way through the very, very, very short front straight. Already in the background a few little issues to start us off, but here we go, and this will be the corner that we need to keep an eye on as everyone bounces through that.
Yep, the couple of cars we already seen out there in the wall. Looked like Jamie McKnight had some sort of a problem and just didn't get off the start line at all. But we see there's still cars, a couple wide, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. It's absolutely manic this first lap here, Jared, and can be really difficult to get yourself into single file. Looks like Jamie McKnight is now up and running. Oh, Jamie Dyke there, almost in the fence. Again, so he is definitely flaunting with some track limits, but really good start, and the guys have all done a fantastic job just to get going nicely. As you said, Jared, so easy on this first lap to have problems, and the guys have navigated that really nicely.
Yeah, so far at least, and there's still plenty of time to go. Look at the train of cars though as you get through. Again, you'd call it a really extended bus stop here, wouldn't you, at Belle Isle? It's a tough sequence of corners to try and negotiate, and really does work those outside tyres as you try and get it just turned around what should be on paper an easy turn, and it just isn't in reality, especially not on cold tyres here in Gen 3 supercars. Matt Vanderkrant out in front, Wayne Walker going with him, and they're holding a nice little 1-second gap at the moment over Dean Logsdale. Vanderkrant sets the early pace of 1:36 to get us started there, and we are underway for 14 laps. I am honestly a little surprised that we haven't seen more issues, but it's still early days. We'll see how it all plays out. This is Luke Allman sitting in 8th currently, right on the back of Mark Poynton as we come on down to that first heavy braking zone, and it really is a little processional almost while you look for opportunities to take advantage of mistakes here on these early laps. Everyone trying to get the temperatures into the tyres, and no one really wanting to get too far off that racing line just for the moment.
It's not a track, Jared, that lends itself to too wide racing. So even if you're faster than the car in front, it kind of does look processional right up until you get that chance. The moves that we see here, except for into what I would call turn 3, they really do happen by surprise. You'll see, drivers will be forming them up in their head about where they think they're faster, and they'll just be circulating, waiting, and then when they finally see that opportunity, they will just pounce. That is, except for that one into turn 3, which you can orchestrate the whole way down that what is really the only straight on the whole track into that big stop at the end of it. But of course, that then becomes fraught with danger, because if you do brake late, you're clattering into cars and fences and stuff. So it's actually a really tough track, this one. Not a huge amount of passing, but the guys will settle into a rhythm and do a really good job. And just to highlight that, that lack of passing, the top 9 cars are all in their starting position. Jamie Dyke is the first person who has made a pass at all, and you just see there he thought about it and then settled back in. And I'm just having a look down the list. Mitch Allison from Gang Tangus Racing down the back, he's picked up 6, but I think that a few of those, or he's now picked up 7, a few of those will have been through people having issues. Outside of that, a couple of people picking up 2, a couple of people picking up 1. Ryan Palmer's got 3. No one is making wholesale moves in his field, Jared.
No, and it's such a tough track to do that on. Mitch Wood is going to be under a bit of pressure here. He's starting to form a bit of a train behind him, which is going to put a huge amount of pressure on. He's got likes of Poynton, Allman, Rushworth, Dyke, Damon Fisher, all bunching up behind, and the gap to Caparonis out in front is just starting to open up a couple of seconds here. But everyone starting to just find their rhythm. We might jump back. I do want to see what happened to Jamie McKnight, because it looks as though Ashley Hall actually did pick up some damage there. I noticed a meatball flag and perhaps even a black flag for maybe a pit entry at a bit of extra pace than he should have had. But let's go back to the start and just see what happened to Jamie McKnight. And I don't know what's happened there, whether that's a hardware failure or what the case is, but have a look at what's happened to that rear right with that hit on the way through from Mitchell Steele Allison. That has absolutely annihilated that rear right wheel.
That to me, Jared, and I'm only hypothesising based on what I can see, it doesn't look like a total hardware failure. We saw that when he was hit by Ashley, he was able to steer. That looks like a pedal failure to me, Jared. That just looks like absolutely no go forward. And pedals, often shifters. There's a second option for shifting, whether you've got a gear lever or paddles and all that sort of stuff. But a big shame for Jamie. We don't like to see anyone plummet down the list, and to not even get off the start line is a shame.
Now, Ashley Hall just avoids it there, so that's not where he's picked up the damage. I do wonder if there was maybe some contact earlier on. But when he's come into the pit lanes, he's definitely carrying some damage from something that has happened around the track. That is a huge hit for Ashley Hall. I don't know quite where that's happened. I'm trying to take a look and see if we can find where anyone's kind of flown past him, but can't see it anywhere. I think he's done that all on his own, and looks as though he's put it into a wall in a very, very big way.
Yeah, and a 50-second stop, Jared, that indicates to me a 40-second stop and hold for speeding in pit lane, as we do now jump back to this battle for 6th with Mitch Wood out the front. Can I just say quietly, the second best looking car on track, that Heatwave sunglasses car, Jared. And
you're a bit of a fan of Heatwaves, aren't you, mate?
Look, that one, that livery, and I'll lift the skirt here a little bit, Jared. I do have a real life experience in off-road racing, and this particular car takes umbrage from an off-road car in America. Oh, he's hard in the fence there. That is
would have been off-road if not for the walls.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's likely to be damaged as well. We'll see how he goes now. But that was a big hit on that rear suspension. But this is a tribute livery, Jared, to an off-road car that, whilst it was modern underneath, was built on a mid-70s F-Track, which is probably the coolest off-road car that I've ever seen. So if anyone looks that up, it is the Heatwave Sonny's trophy truck, and yeah, maybe it's the personal connection, but I've always been a fan of black and gold cars, Jared, and I just think this thing looks fantastic.
Oh, executed well. I will never argue with you, absolutely. G'day, mate, Keith. Welcome to the chat, mate. Just down below, you can register your interest for the next season. There is an email address to get in touch with the guys at Alliance Sim Racing. The Discord is the way to go once you've had a chat to them about joining up this season. Very much booked out in terms of entries at this stage, but give them an email just down below, alliancesimracingaustralia@gmail.com if my memory serves, but it is in the YouTube description, so take a look there and shoot them an email. They'll get in touch with you in short order and get you on in, because yeah, this is some of the best supercar racing you're going to find anywhere. It's hard to find good supercar racing on the iRacing official series. Very rarely populated because they are a bit of a special car to drive, and you're going to be driving, tracks like Belle Isle. You want a special kind of driver around you at the time you're trying to put in laps, and there's really no substitute for a good league to run with, is there, Josh?
No, there's not. There's a couple of leagues in Australia, but as you said, this is right up there. Some fantastic quality racing, and one of the things that I really like about it, Jared, is the battles range all the way from first to 30th. You don't see. Obviously, there is a difference in speed between the fastest guys in the field and the slowest. But what I've really loved about my time with ASR is that it's a really nice natural progression. You don't just have a group of people, a group of one or two people that's just going to win every race, or you don't also have the other problem where there's a bunch of really fast guys, and then you just feel like you're stuck out the back all on your own. It probably doesn't matter what your skill level is if you can wheel a supercar for half an hour and not crash. Doesn't matter whether you're fast or slow, you'll find someone to race in this field.
Well, that counts me out, mate. I can't keep them on track for half an hour, but best of luck to those of you who can. They're a handful, to say the least, as we see Ryan Palmer just scrapes the concrete on the way through. That paint job definitely going to need some work after this round. Troy Sipple heading up an absolute bevy of quantum racing cars. He's got Stephen Varga and Simon Haynes there in the one-off Soliguard paintwork for quantum. And then right behind them, a couple more teammates, Phil Manuel and Joel Usterval, right in amongst this. And as you were saying, you talk about the different groups that you can find battling it out on track. We've got Vanderkraan and Walker out in front doing their thing at the moment. Dean Logsdale out there with them, and then a fair bit of a gap back to the next pack behind Jim Caparonis, another bit of a gap to a couple of cars in Jamie Dyke, Damon Fisher, Ryan Palmer, and then you hit this group of 4 or 5, and then behind them another group of 4 or 5 that are starting to just form up. It really is a great spread of pace and talent here with ASR, and yeah, we always struggle to try and cover all of the racing that's going on. It's probably a tad easier here at Belle Isle than anywhere else because it is such a tough track to get a pass done at, so it gives us a little bit more time to just bounce around the place and try and keep up with it all.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always action going on, as we see there, a couple of cars in the wall. I'm not sure who that is.
That looks like the teammates, Phil Manuel and Joel Usterval.
No.
Oh, that's a mightily ADHD thing to do.
That is an ADHD special.
They are lucky in that they're pretty close to pit, so Phil Manuel's going to just crawl on in there. Joel Usterval, a little bit of front end damage you can see he's carrying there, but it's nowhere near the amount of damage that his teammates suffered. We'll go back and we'll take a look at that in just a second, but Troy Sipple giving up the spot to his teammate Stephen Varga right now. Simon Haynes will stick with him. G'day, Race Pig. How are you, my friend? Hope you're doing well. And
Piggy joins us. Hello, Piggy.
Yeah, jump on in, mate. It's always good to have a few more names and faces around the place for sure. There's a few little battles that are shaping up here that are starting to get a little closer than others. Jamie Dyke and Andrew Rushworth. Unsurprisingly, Jamie Dyke is really looking for the opportunity here, and he's pushing pretty hard to try and make that happen. We might jump on board and go for a bit of a ride with him. just so you can get a feel for just how tight this track really is. And from on top of the car, it actually doesn't even look anywhere near as bad as what it feels when you're in the cockpit as well. We'll jump on in and take a look. But you see going down through that Continental corner there, you're down into the 70k an hour range, and for a supercar, that is, one, painfully slow, two, super dangerous in terms of potential wheel spin as you get back on the throttle, because they're just not built to go that slow.
No, and it's a lot of fun when you've got to get them moving again, you know, learning all those skills around when to short shift and, you know, how to massage the throttle to make it work. But, you know, the opposite end of the scale here, Jared, 140 k's an hour up over a crest while you're in the throttle, so the car just wants to wheel spin. It's a huge amount of work. And you see here now there's going to be a really big stop, and I hope that we see Jamie range up on the back of Andrew here, because it's, you know, as you said, Jared, off the top of the car, it doesn't look too bad. You get in the car, you put a car right in front of you, you quite literally can't see the next corner. You'll see here Jamie's moving around a bit, and that would be equal parts to distract the car in front. But the other part of that, Jared, is just being able to see your brake markers and where the corner actually is, because so much of your vision is taken up by the car in front. I don't know whether you noticed, Jared, that last corner, there was a big slide on the exit.
Moment there, Rushworth goes wide. That's what Jamie Dyke's been waiting for. Yeah, and you see it happen so often there. You get that brake marker just ever so slightly wrong, and you are sliding down that escape road. No two ways about it, and that is absolutely the smarter way to approach it. Andrew Rushworth will have gotten away with that because he did manage to get it back over before he made contact with the wall. I'm pretty confident, but we'll go back and we'll check that out at some point soon. I do want to go back and just have a bit of a look at what happened to poor Joel Osterwald and Phil Manuel earlier on. I'm not entirely sure what set it off, but we'll see if we can pick this up. So Joel Osterwald here comes through, and there's Phil Manuel. So Manuel's gone into the wall, and Osterwald's gone straight into the back of his teammate, and unfortunately he's had to just kind of run along behind him for a while the track clears, so it's cost him a few positions, but certainly nowhere near the amount of damage that we see on Phil Manuel, who then crept his way on into the pits. It's less than ideal for the 266 Sim Racing team, as Damon Fisher behind Jamie Dyke picks up a slowdown. That's surprisingly the first one we've really seen that's really come around tonight, and it's one of those tracks, despite the lack of runoff, it is actually pretty easy to pick up a slowdown on a couple of these corners if you do just push a little bit too hard on the inside and take what little grass there is there.
Yeah, these cars, Jared, love to hop up over curves. They're really, you know, they genuinely are built for it. And there's a couple of curves here where they really, you know, the apex of the corner is purely marked by a curve on the ground. So there's no wall, no grass, no nothing. And they invite you in, Jared. You just, you know, you hit it once. You know, and the car handles it really nicely. So the next lap, you take a little bit more, and you take a little bit more, and you take a little bit more, and before you know it, you've been slapped over the wrist with a slowdown.
That's what happens when you get greedy, though. But it's all part of the racing experience, after all. We'll jump back to Stephen Varga as he just gives the wall a little bit of a nudge there behind Andrew Rushworth, who is carrying a little bit of front end damage, so maybe didn't get away with it quite as cleanly as he was hoping. We'll go back and we'll take another look at that as well and see if we can pick up just how deep Rushworth went here. You can see under brakes, just gets himself out of the way, and Hill tries to make the turn, but a bit of contact there with the front left, enough to just remove that front bar eventually. And you see it just falls by the wayside as he gets through the extended bus stop there. I think in the scheme of things, still got away with that pretty lightly.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's such an easy trap to fall for, Jared, because down there in particular, you're actually still turning when you first want to get on the brake. So you've got to get the car settled so you don't pinch your front as you first get on the brake. Because and then if it takes you a little while longer than anticipated to get it squared up and get on the brakes, then you see what happened to Andrew Rushworth there, and you run long, but. No one wants to go down an escape road, Jared, and have to do a flick spin, come back out and join the track and all that. So, now you have that little lock, and you tell yourself, you absolutely convince yourself that you're going to be able to get things going. As we see there, a car facing backwards, Troy Sipple, by the look of it, enjoying the
That
view,
is an
facing
awkward
entirely
spot.
the wrong way.
No, this is Troy Sipple back here. That was actually Craig Rose. So Troy Sipple has managed to spin himself there. Craig Rose in a separate incident, but in another quantum car has ended up facing backwards as well. So Sips there facing backwards. We go back to Craig Rose, who just a little further up the track does almost the same thing on the way out of Continental Corner. He's a lap down already, and we'll have to just sit there and wait out a whole lot of these cars flying through. Keep an eye on some of these battles going on here, though. Luke Allman and Jamie Dyke right on the back of Mark Poynton, and we see Stephen Varga dive up the inside of Andrew Rushworth into that hard braking zone, and it's absolutely the spot to get it done. Vargas makes it look easy in the end. We'll take a look. We'll check in with the leaders out in front, because we're down to just a few laps to go here in this opening sprint race, and not a lot happening in that top 8 really. And Matt Vanderkran still retains his lead at the moment with Wayne Walker in hot pursuit. Dean Logsdale sticking with them, but neither of those drivers really keen to push the issue too much at the moment. We've got a couple of laps left to go. Wayne Walker's starting to think about where he wants to make this move, because he's going to have to put something on here pretty soon if he does want to try and steal this top spot away from Vanderkran. Running out of opportunities, really only probably 2 more to go as they come around to complete this lap. And I'm thinking, of course, of the big braking zone at the end of that long straight. That's your best shot here in a Gen 3 supercar. You're not going to get much in the way of passing done in the absence of a mistake from Matt Vanderkran, but this will be the opportunity as they start to come down through this long straight. Walker's there, only 2/10 off the back. You see him look to the inside. He's not going to be close enough to have a go at it. Vanderkran just needs to nail his braking marker and does a beautiful job of it. And so now Wayne Walker's going to have one more shot at that one. I don't know that he's going to have a better shot than that particular spot just there. Immediately behind them, Allman, Dyke, Poynton all caught up in the same kind of spot, the same kind of battle. Just looking to be ever so slightly closer than they actually are to be able to make that move. There's not much in it, but it's enough for Poynton to hold on to this 7th spot for now.
Yeah, and this is the pivotal run here, Jared. It's really easy to get a slide out of this corner. So this is where you're looking for someone to make a mistake and get a run. And unfortunately for Wayne Walker, I can see that that gap's just creeping out a little bit. The same here. Poynton was really good off that last corner, so nowhere for Luke Allman to go, nowhere for Jamie Dyke to go, and I don't think that short of a pretty significant mistake, you won't see much change now in those front positions, Jared.
Darren Walden just pulling it up. It's I think he's just getting out of the way of some other traffic. It did show up as an incident on our telemetry, but I think just getting out of the way more than anything else. Here we go. There's the white flag. We're on to the final lap. And Wayne Walker, he's got to throw everything at it now and let the jump on board for the run down the straight, because he is right there behind Matt Vanderkran, 2/10 and closing quickly. Walker gets a great drive out of the corner. Vanderkran's going to sit right in the middle of this straight and really force the issue. Makes it impossible to pass, just takes up the entire space there. And so Walker not going to have the opportunity there. Probably one more shot, and it's going to take a very, very brave braking effort to try and get it done as they get down to the end of that next. Look, we've got to call it a straight, even though it's not so straight after all. Logsdale, though, had a big look up the inside. There's contact.
Throws it down the inside.
That was a little later than it was probably ever going to come off, but a result of that is Wayne Walker dropped back through the field, and I will just keep my eyes peeled for the race control message that comes through for that one, because Logsdale has absolutely thrown it in there way later than I think was probably justified. And unfortunately for Wayne Walker, the penalty's not going to make a great deal of difference. No matter where Logsdale ends up, Walker is now down behind Jim Caparonis, and it dropped from 2nd back to 5th in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, and to be fair, Dean Logsdale orchestrated that from a long way out. I could see it coming, but Wayne was really focused on the cars in front, and whether you orchestrate or not, you do have to get far enough down the inside. That probably wasn't the place to do it. I'm sure that Dean will be kicking himself expecting a penalty for that one, and yeah, unfortunately for Wayne, he drops down to 5th. Still good points, and that is all a part of racing, but a real shame. Mitch Wood actually recovered a bit of speed there to finish in 5th. Mark Poynton, finishing 6th for Wood. Mark Poynton crosses the line with probably the most banged up Kamari you've seen in a long time. Luke Allman, Jamie Dyke and Ryan Palmer round out the top 10.
As Simon Farrington crosses the line just ahead of Ugangatangas Racing, Mitchell Steele Allison keeping us on our toes as always with the required pronunciation. And a few drivers left to run home, but not the way that I think Wayne Walker was hoping to finish that one up. He'll still find himself in a pretty reasonable position for the start of race number 2, and being a longer race, it'll present some more opportunities for him to climb back up through the field. But yeah, definitely not how we want to finish that one up. We'll just wait for the last couple of drivers to cross the line, and then we should have the official results in just a moment. But a race to forget for a few drivers there. Phil Manuel, unfortunately, suffering some pretty significant damage. He ended up sitting in the pits for the better part of 12 minutes there at the end of that race, and he'll be hoping to fight his way back from the back of the grid in race number 2. I can't think of another track that would be more challenging to do that than right here at Belle Isle. It's going to be a monster effort for Manuel to make his way forward through the pack. This is where it's going to come down to that pit strategy, isn't it? We didn't see a safety car anywhere in that opening race. I don't know whether that was necessarily through any specific reason other than just a whole lot of luck more than anything else. But it is what we got, and you've got to start to wonder whether we're going to see a safety car in race 2 or not. As it stands, though, Matt Vanderkrant takes the win, and Dean Logsdale finishes in second, but does have a 5-second penalty just issued there. Now you can see the message from race control coming through, so that's going to drop him back to 6th place when all is said and done. Wayne Walker will move up to 4th, but still a little way back from where he would have preferred to finish, I'm sure. Jason Bent will jump to 2nd with Jim Caparonis getting on the podium thanks to that penalty for Dean Logsdale. And then Wayne Walker in 4th. Mitch Wood, unfortunately, not quite close enough to capitalise on that, with Mark Poynton at Luke Allman, Jamie Dyke and Ryan Palmer rounding out your top 10 there in race number 1. And I think a fairly clean race all round, Josh. It's probably a little unexpected here at Belle Isle, but hopefully sets us up for 35 laps of really good hard racing without too many safety cars.
No, the guys did a really fantastic job. 35 laps is a long time though, Jared, and things like just general fatigue coming to it. I'll be surprised if we get through without a big stack somewhere, but we'll see how they go.
Still a little while to go. We've got a couple of minutes of warm up while the guys get out of the cars, stretch the legs a bit, and get ready for 35 laps of very, very hard racing. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Providing the best for your family means a healthy, secure, and comfortable environment. But the daily risks your family faces are often invisible. Solar Guard performance films protect what matters most to you. While you're concentrating on the task at hand, we're protecting your family from uncomfortable solar heat, harmful UV light, and glare. Our window films and protective coatings are designed with decades of technical expertise and provide a vision towards the future. Solar Guard provides added protection to the places where they're needed most, creating invisible barriers for increased security. The people of Solar Guard design carbon-negative solutions that can help reduce energy costs and improve comfort. Allow us to tackle the invisible challenges so you can focus on the important things in life. What matters most to you? We're on it. Saint-Gobain, Solar Guard.
Well, welcome back to tonight's coverage, folks. I hope you've taken the opportunity to go and grab yourself a bit of a top-up on whatever your drink of choice is this evening and settle back into your comfiest chair. We are getting ready to go racing here for race number 2 at Belle Isle. This is round 4 of season 6 of the Alliance Sim Racing Supercar Championship, proudly supported by Solar Guard Saint-Gobain, who have been on board since the very start of this season. and what make it all possible here, along with, of course, the amazing support from Quantum Tint Solutions, West Automotive, Nicol Photography, and of course 24/7 sim services, providing both race control and safety car services each and every week here for ASR. It's honestly, it's what makes these leagues possible, isn't it? The extra support, Josh, from even if it's just a bit of support from some of the businesses of the guys involved, but also the support from those extra sponsors that make it possible for us to put on not only a great night of racing, but we try and bring a pretty decent night of coverage to you there at home if we can as well.
Yeah, try and do it all. It's something that we pride ourselves on here, Jared, being a fantastic place to race if you're a racer, and a really fantastic place to watch if you're a supporter or a maybe racer, or you're thinking about coming along. It's a great place to come and have a bit of a look, enjoy the tones of the different commentators that come through. I apologise for mine. I wouldn't. It would be remiss of me not to apologise for the noises that come out of my mouth. But anyway, we will try and make 35 laps of Belle Isle entertaining. The guys out on track will do their very best as well. Big long race, this one, Jared, and I was actually talking to my ADHD teammate a little while ago about strategy here, and 35 laps. It looks like lap 11 is that critical lap, so big long stint able to be done here, and I really did talk to Ryan about maybe the best option is targeting the safety cars, but that first race, Jared, we saw none. I'm not so sure that targeting safety cars is the best choice now.
Yeah, and that's gonna make the decision very, very difficult for these drivers here tonight, I think. If there aren't any safety cars looking likely, if we can make it through 14 laps, surely we can just extend that out to 35 fairly cleanly. That said, I think there'll probably be a few drivers who, you see this every week, right? You get from race 1 into race 2, and it's like the knowledge all falls out of your head and you forget that your tyres are cold again. And always a bit of a challenge at the start of that second race, just to remind yourself not to go full noise like you've just been doing for the last 5 or 10 laps of the previous race. This is how it's shaping up for the grid here in race number 2. Matt Vanderkraan will start with Dean Logsdale alongside then Jason Bentz and Jim Caparonis, with Wayne Walker and Mitch Wood ahead of Mark Poynton and Luke Orman. Then Jamie Dyke and Ryan Palmer from ADHD rounding out your top 10. We go further back through the field, Damon Fisher and Stephen Varga on row 6 ahead of Haynes and Rushworth, then Rick Varga and Mick Clifton ahead of Craig Shawes and Brad Hayes. Simon Farrington and Mitchell Steele-Allison lining up at the back of the top 20. Joel Osterval and Andrew Johnston just outside on row 11, then Troy Sipple and Shane Cudby alongside each other. Jamie McKnight and David Logsdale, 25th and 26th respectively. Darren Walden and Craig Rose will line up ahead of Ashley Hall and Phil Manuel in number 30 as the last driver on grid, unsurprisingly given how long he did spend there on repairs, unfortunately, in race number 1. Tim Nicol and Brad Grant remain twiddling their thumbs in the pit lane for now, but 35 laps is... Look, plenty of opportunity for something to happen that will get them out on track in that Mustang safety car. It's not outside the realms of possibility. We had a fairly clean first race here tonight, but the drivers do tend to just push that a little bit harder for race 2. It is, of course, worth more points than the first race, and so everyone just jostling a little more for position than perhaps they did last time. We'll get down to the track and see how we're going. Probably about 30-odd seconds away from getting underway with racing here in the second one. Our predictions way off for the first one. Josh, any thoughts on what we're going to see here in the second?
If my memory serves me correctly, Jared, because we did come to Belle Isle the first series that I commentated, and I really have a feeling that Matt Vanderkraan is a Belle Isle specialist. So, I don't know, he's a long race specialist. I think that he's got a real affinity with this place. I wouldn't be surprised to see Matt Vanderkraan just walk away with it.
Now, the interesting thing is, I mean, he obviously had a great run in race number 1 with 2 compulsory pit stops. I'm really curious to see how Vanderkraan plays this one out, because we've seen him before take an early pit stop, but he very rarely does it from the front of the field. Yeah, I don't know.
Given that, you can do such a long stint home, do we see Vanderkran special just dive in lap one?
Let's find out. We've got 5 reds on the tree, and we are underway for race number 2. Vanderkran and Logsdale lead us out. Vanderkran, a great launch. Jason Bent's behind him, just as good off the line. We seem to have gotten away a bit more cleanly at the back of the field here, but look at Vanderkran go as Bent's forces his way up the inside. Dean Logsdale. Logsdale pushed all the way out to that outside wall through turn number 1. And here we go down the long run to this heavy braking zone. And let's see what the field's got as they make their way through here. Side by side for a lot of these cars, still trying to sort out a bit of a racing line, but we've made it through fairly cleanly. So everyone remembering their cold tyres, it's a great start. Matt Vanderkran already out to a second. It's not much, but at Belle Isle it may as well be 10. That is a huge gap so early on. Dean Logsdale doing everything he can to pull that back in as quickly as possible because he's bringing a train of cars behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at that totem, Jared. All 30 cars, no one with more than a second between them, which means that not only did everyone get away to a good start, but they were able to get themselves into single file and really form up that racing pack nice and quickly. And as we sit here in the curb and we just see car after car after car make their way over the top, what a fantastic view and what a great start, to be honest. These guys have done a fantastic job in both races, to be honest.
And huge pace. You can already see a bit of shuffling starting to happen here. Andrew Rushford and Stephen Varga alongside. Craig Shawes and Simon Farrington look like they've come together at the back of the pack. We'll go back and we'll check in on that in just a moment. But that is the first lap down, and we almost made it through cleanly. Logsdale still heads up this pack. Vargs, Osterwald, Troy Sippel in for an early stop. Let's go back and take a look at what's happened a little further back in the pack in that first lap. We had a great run all the way through. Darren Walden, though, looks like he's just overcooked it a little bit and gotten the foot down a little hard. And there's one of those brutal concrete walls here at Belle Isle. Doesn't take much. On any other track, you'd just slide off into the grass and get going again. But at Belle Isle, it's a real 3-point turn to try and get rolling again. And then Craig Shawes and Simon Farrington just getting all sorts caught up. Farrington just gets the rear end tapped there by Shawes as they come out of the corner. And a big moment there just ahead for Jamie McKnight, who didn't even register because he got moving again so quickly. But that's a big spin and some big damage. We'll see if we can catch just what happened. Was that in the pass on Shane Cudby that he's gotten caught up in that? Everyone goes to avoid, and Cudby just gets out of the way of Farrington. Unfortunately, McKnight just a bystander on the way through, and into the wall he goes. Doesn't lose a lot of track position, but certainly will lose some time as he has to come into the pits and get that just buffed out a little bit, let's say.
Yeah, as Mitch Wood absolutely fired that thing into the fence, I would be surprised if that isn't hurting now. But I said that race one, and he managed to keep going forward. Probably the saving grace for Jamie McKnight, Jared, is lap one is acceptable for a pit stop here. You can make the strategy work from lap one, and all the drivers get one quick repair. As we see here, putting a move on Mitch Wood. I'll be interested to see whether that is purely pace related or whether Mitch has hurt that car. But all these drivers do get a quick repair, and so for Jamie McKnight, obviously we don't, you never want to be involved in an accident on lap one, but at least it's not so early that he now has to do an extra pit stop, and he's got that quick repair. So it won't have taken up any time in his pit stop, but obviously now it leaves him 34 laps to run home without any more repair. So he's got to be a little bit careful. And his strategy has now been dictated for him. He doesn't have many more options, but nonetheless, it could have been far worse.
Yeah, it absolutely could have been, as it looks like Vargs has had a bit of an issue further back as well. So although he's gone in for that early pit stop, he's got a bit of work to do to get rolling again. I think he's overcooked the braking there on the way into that third turn after the long straight, and so he's had to run down the escape road. We'll go back and we'll take a bit of a closer look at that. But this battle for fifth really shaping up as we see Mitch Wood coming into the pits. Jamie Dyke, Luke Gorman, Andrew Rushworth continue. Ryan Palmer comes in to the pits as well. So a few drivers electing to just make an early stop and perhaps anticipating making their second stop under the safety car. Now, the danger of that, of course, as you said, that critical lap around lap 11, you're almost halfway to that point. If you see a safety car coming out at, say, lap 9 or 10 here, you've got a really tough choice to make, don't you?
Yeah, look, you can go from lap 11 flat out. I reckon if you get a safety car on lap 9, you've got to take it. If you get one on 8, it's probably too early. But certainly lap 9, I reckon that you take it on lap 9 and just deal with it.
What do you reckon, a bit of fuel saving the rest of the way home?
Yeah, you would massively fuel save under safety car. One of the cool things about these cars, Jared, is the clutch actually works. So you can quite literally just clutch in and let the car coast along. Run it in 6th gear, all those sorts of things. You can fuel save hugely under safety car. And then of course, you can lift and coast and stuff on the way home. And this track is so hard to pass at that I think that you could pretty comfortably fuel save on this track and not risk your position. We did see, I think it was car 9, Simon Farrington has been slapped with a 20-second penalty for his involvement in the lap 1 shenanigans.
Yeah, and look, that's an interesting one. I'm not going to take us back to have another look at it, but I think he turned himself across the front of Craig Schulz, if memory serves, and I wonder if maybe he's picked up a little bit of additional penalty there because of the flow-on impact that it's had to Jamie McKnight getting caught up in it as Farrington bounced back across the track, although not directly making contact. Really, that's the thing at Belle Isle, right? Even if you're not actually in front of someone, the chaos that you create on this track with so little room between the two concrete walls either side, you can absolutely be the cause of some pretty significant carnage, even if you don't actually touch those other cars. Best of luck to race control in making those decisions there, of course, using the usual rule book to figure that one out. And I am very glad it's them and not me.
My gut tells me, Jared, and I'm not committed enough to go trawling through the regs while trying to commentate as well. I think that I would do both poorly. But my gut tells me that these guys have a very much black and white hold your brakes rule. So if you do end up spun or spinning, you are required to hold brakes for the entire time until you come to a stop. And I'd suggest that Simon Farrington there, without going back and looking at it, I reckon that you're absolutely on the money. I would suggest that he's let off the brakes, and that has been deemed as exacerbating that incident where we saw Jamie McKnight put in the fence due to cars avoiding him. So, like you said, tough night for race control. I'm happier talking about it than trying to adjudicate. But nonetheless, that penalty's been handed out now, and yeah, unfortunately, that's just got to be served.
It does indeed. We take a look at the front end of the field here as the order gets all sorts of topsy-turvy as these pit stops start to just flow through with a huge number of drivers starting to make their stops here on lap 6. So Wayne Walker, the standard, just sets the fastest lap there of 1:31.9 or an 8.9 if you want to get really particular about it. He came in on lap 1, and I think that undercut is what he's really counting on here. A bit of clean air to run those sort of laps time and time again. We know he's very, very fast, so having some space in front of him. And there we go, safety car called, and I suspect it might be Rick Vigar, actually, by the look of things. We'll keep an eye on Matt Vanderkraan up front because he'll come around and greet the safety car first. But go back and take a look and see what's happened for Rick Vigar. Just touches the grass there in a big slide, manages to save it, but finds himself in the middle of the track, and that was so close for the Ugangatangas Racing entry there of Mitchell Steele Allison. Now Vigar not having any issues following on from that, but I do wonder if perhaps there's another one, because he's been recorded as having a few incidents in quick succession. I think it might have just been getting rolling from that one again, but then we did see Andrew Johnston pulling it over and stopped on the side of the track. It looks like he's made contact somewhere after exiting the pits there. So we'll go back just a little further. Coming out of the pits, so you'd think all in pretty good order. I wonder if that's just been him waiting for other traffic to pass, that it's come through as a crash on our end, and it does kind of look like it, but he's just stayed out of the way there. So I don't know that I'm entirely certain what it is that has brought the safety car on here. There's obviously, there was a car we saw stopped around the back of the circuit, but I don't know for sure exactly what that was for. But you know, lap 7, that's pretty close to that mark where we did talk about the decision point for a safety car.
Yeah, I think it's too early at the moment. So I think that the decision now will be, so who's our first that's pitted?
But it has to be Wayne Walker on lap 1, but Walker's now done both his pit stops. So he's come in and he's done the second stop. That looks like Damon Fisher that's actually off to the side there as well. So he's actually been sitting there for a little while, and I'm not entirely sure what has done it, because he's just pulled the car over and stopped it there. Whether there's been, I don't know, a bit of an issue further back, and he's gone into the wall and caused some damage. Might just jump back a little bit and see if we can pick up Damon Fisher on the way out of his pit. So he's just let a fair bit of that traffic through. Yeah, I'm starting to wonder myself, Rob, as to whether or not this is just an excuse for the safety car guys to get out there. Take a look at this into turn 1, or turn 3, I suppose. Sorry, nothing there. I'm a little bit of a loss to find out exactly what's happened to bring on this safety car.
I do wonder if it was simply, I think it was David Logsdale was parked up for quite a while, so I wonder whether he had a small issue.
I will note, Damon Fisher, mind you, sorry Josh, Damon Fisher is rocking a meatball flag at the moment, so something has definitely happened for Damon Fisher that's brought that that safety car on. I cannot for the life of me find what it was.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But nonetheless, they're out there.
He's still sitting there.
Yeah, interesting.
That is really odd.
He'll be waiting for a tow, but yeah, you're right. That's odd that he's still there. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I just had a quick look down the list, Jared, and the three brave names are Wayne Walker, Jamie Dyke, and Ryan Palmer. Those three blokes locked together all have done their second stop on lap 6, so they are going to be fuel saving like mad. I'm not sure that they can do it, but they're out there and I'm here, so we'll trust them and we'll see how they go.
Yeah, I mean, best of luck to them. It's a big ask. Right, lap 6 is a long way out. Even with fuel saving under the safety car here, you'd be praying that this safety car goes for an extra few laps here for some reason. I don't know. I really don't know that they're going to get enough fuel saving done here. So they're going to have to try and get some extra in over the course of this race, or resign themselves to an extra stop just to do a bit of a splash and dash towards the end, maybe. In any case, I think it's brave. I think it's very, very brave to take the pit stop under this safety car with such a long way still to go in this race.
I think that the only thing we can do now is just wait and see. It will either be a masterstroke or it'll not work. But at least there is a couple of people doing something different, because it's far more fun when we see them trying a few different things rather than just everyone on the same strategy. Yeah,
and this is gonna make for a very, very interesting pit strategy battle for the rest of this race, isn't it? Because we have effectively probably four drivers. Let's call it 5, including Shane Cudby, who have made both of their compulsory stops now, but they've made them very, very early. And it remains to be seen whether that will actually pay off for them. The front runner out there of those drivers is Wayne Walker, but he's got Jamie Dyke and Ryan Palmer immediately behind him. So 18th, 19th and 20th right now. But if the rest of the field, does have to come in for that second pit stop, it's going to be a question of just how far back they are at the time as to where they end up in the running order as everyone gets through that second stop, or indeed whether they are just holding on for another safety car and just a splash of fuel to get them home. As it stands, we're going to have a pretty long run here under safety car, so maybe they'll save enough fuel, but it's I'm trying to run the numbers here in my head, and I can't see the fuel saving being significant enough that they're going to pick up an extra 2, 3, 4 laps.
Yeah. Well, no, because so the number is lap 11. They can get home from 11. But we've still got 2 laps to go to 11, and they've already been circulating. Even if they've only been using 40% fuel, it's a huge ask.
We jump on board with Brad Grant just for a quick view back at Matt Vanderkran's car. The safety car confirmed coming in this lap, so we will not be far at all from going green flag racing again here. The safety car just enjoying its little moment out on track. Matt Vanderkran now will take control of the field as we start to get back towards the checkered flag, or the checkered line at least. That represents the start of the next official lap. We've got, 25 laps to run here. We've got a really, really interesting fuel strategy battle on our hands for a lot of these drivers. And really, it's all going to be up to Matt Vanderkran now as he gets the foot down, crosses the line, and we are green flag racing once again. A great jump for Vanderkran. Extends just a little bit of breathing room back to Dean Logsdale. But now we wait on the rest of the field coming through, because there's going to be no doubt a fair few battles with people just looking for an opportunity. The tyres really will have some good temp in them now, although a little bit past their prime, as we know, with these supercar tyres, but definitely time for a move. And you see there, Stephen Varga wasting no time, pushes through past Mitchell Steele-Allison's very, very bright Mustang, and really just makes it a bit easier to spot the gap between him and the wall, I suppose, when you try to charge through like Vargas just has done. And the field back underway, lap 10 of 35. We've got quite a way to go here. I'm still just trying to figure out what the thought process is for the likes of Walker, Dyke and Palmer. Josh, I don't know if you've heard anything from Ryan Palmer off air and can shed some light on what his plan is here.
I don't know. I've been frantically doing some math. So from lap 6 at full pace, you can get to lap 30. So they would have needed to save 5 laps of fuel. They only did 3 laps under the safety car, Jared. So, even if they only used 1, they've still got to save another 4 laps. And I just don't see how they're going to do it. I think that they're committed to a 3rd stop.
Well, that said, what happens if we get another safety car? That could be what they're counting on here, right? We know it's difficult to get a pass done around Belle Isle. Maybe what they're hoping for is to see one more safety car here tonight that allows them to roll on past the pits while everyone else comes in, and then find themselves at the head of the lane, essentially, with a huge opportunity to just hang on to that position. With Steve Benson and Mitch Wood just coming together there. Mark Point will sneak through as well, and Luke Orman having a bit of a look at it as well. Mitch Wood, unfortunately, just dropping down the order. Simon Haynes is thinking about having a bit of a go here as well, and Mitch is definitely carrying a bit of damage there and struggling to keep the pace up. But Luke Orman now immediately back under attack as Wood finds his accelerator and starts to look up the inside. That's a really, really tough corner to get that done, and it looks like, unfortunately, Mitch Wood very wide and will drop back a little further. Just Mitch has missed that brake marker and got lucky not to put it into the wall.
Yeah, he's done a fantastic job there, and lucky is probably the word. Mitch has done that a couple of times tonight, and I wonder whether his luck is going to run out, Jared.
Yeah, well, he's been pushing hard, but seems to unfortunately find himself just in the wrong spot on a few too many occasions, where he ends up just running a little wide and causing some more damage to I've got to say, an ailing Mustang at this point. It's had a bit of a knock around already here in race 2, and race 1 wasn't much kinder to him. Meanwhile, Dean Logsdale out in front sets the fastest lap by just a 500ths quicker than Matt Vanderkraan. So both those drivers out front still setting a pretty high pace at the moment and trying to just extend as much of a lead as they can, but there's really not a lot of lead to be grabbed here at Belle Isle. You can see on the timing tower all still pretty tightly compressed. Andrew Rushworth is probably the exception here, and we see him at the front of this train of cars. Certainly not slow by any means, but just a little bit of a gap forward to Simon Haynes is all it takes to break up a bit of the rhythm, and that's going to allow for a bit of extra breathing room for Simon Haynes, for Luke Orman ahead of him as well. Out in front though, Matt Vanderkraan, Dean Logsdale, Jim Caperonis, all loosely fairly close together, but Jason Bentz almost 2 seconds back. He's going to have to put some real work in here to take himself and Mark Poynton up towards this front three.
And a good showing from Jim Caperonis too, Jared. Not a name, although, you know, it looks like he finished top 4 in race 1. So good to see Jim having a good run. He's had, you know, certainly my memory serves a couple of rough runs recently. So pleased to see him up the front, and a few movers at the moment, Jared. If we do look up and down the leaderboard, a couple of people have really jumped up in this race, and just cool to see you know, different strategy working different ways. We're continuing to keep a really close eye on Wayne Walker, Jamie Dyke and Ryan Palmer, as we now see Dyke has passed Palmer. Dyke has passed Walker. So interesting to see what happens there, whether Wayne Walker's, you know, got a number that he thinks he needs to hit and he's happy to let Jamie Dyke run, or there's some other issue. But well,
it's worth noting, isn't it, that Wayne Walker and Ryan Palmer and to a lesser extent Jamie Dyke all running around the 1 minute 34 range at the moment. So they're a good, you know, 2 seconds slower than the front end of this field. They are absolutely in fuel save mode, and I dare say from where Jamie Dyke got that pass done, that wasn't under brakes into turn 3. That was a little way further back up the straight. So I think Wayne Walker is in absolute max fuel save mode at the moment, trying desperately to stretch this out for another 20-something laps. It's a huge ask.
It is, but also, if I'm Ryan Palmer, there's nowhere that I'd prefer to be than exactly where he is. If there's anyone that can pull a rabbit out of the hat and know exactly how to fuel save this beast, it's Wayne Walker. And yeah, I think that if Ryan was sensible, he would just sit there tucked up underneath the wing of Wayne Walker, try and save even more fuel than he does. You know, maybe just a little bit of extra lifting and coasting and things like that, and see whether he's got the ability to mount an attack at the very back end. But yeah, lots of work for those guys. I mean, you know, in the meantime, the guys out the front still absolutely, you know, head down doing very low 32s, whereas our mates back here that are trying to fuel save, you know, continuing to do 34s, although I've got to be honest, Jamie Dyke has gone over a second or second and a half faster than Wayne Walker on that lap.
Do you reckon he's decided that he's not going to try and fuel save? He's just going to commit to a splash and dash at this point, because that's putting the foot down.
Yeah, he's definitely he's either found the secret sauce for a bit more speed and fuel saving, or he's given up and he's bolted.
Yeah, knowing Jamie Dyke, I'm pretty sure which of the two it is. And I don't think it's that he's found some sort of miracle, 4 extra laps in that tank, unless he happens to have taken a jerry can in the cabin with him. But yeah, I don't know how you'd... well, yeah, look, a little flammable, if nothing else, right?
Motorsport Australia tends to look poorly upon holding a jerry can while you race a supercar.
Is that in the official reg somewhere? I don't think it is. I reckon it's worth a shot for some of these drivers.
I'm just going to leave that one well alone. Mitch Wood in the pits. I think that he'll be hoping that he can quietly tidy up that Mustang that's had a bit of a beating, and he'll be back up front pretty soon. But he is the first of the guys that was anywhere near the front that has decided to take that second stop post the safety car, Jared.
And you can see where he's coming out right now. He's going to be well positioned if those other drivers can't make it home from there. He's not that far off the back of the likes of Wayne Walker, Ryan Palmer. Certainly a little further back for sure, but not so much that he won't be able to catch them if they do have to come in, even just for a very quick stop. So the pressure absolutely on for the fuel save. Jason Bentz has just picked up a meatball somewhere around the track, so a big moment for him. Now, will that bring on the safety car that is so desperately hoped for? Have a look. That looks to be Jason Bentz that they're just passing there, and he's carrying a huge amount of damage on that quantum racing entry. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. Luke Allman, though, it seems, has also gotten a little bit caught up in it, perhaps. Take an eye at this, and there's Jason Bentz, who's gone into the wall at the front end and catches a bit of damage on the back end from Luke Allman. So Allman probably getting away with that a little bit, but you can see just tries to get turned and cannot get it there. So even more damage on the front end of that Camaro, and that is going to be a pretty significant limp home for him.
Now we're interested to see too whether Bentz has already used up his fast repair. If he has, that's a big old pit stop, that one, Jared.
It will be indeed. These guys still racing though, and doesn't look to be bringing the safety car out just yet. So it looks like we'll continue green flag racing as Bentz falls back through the order, limping at those last few corners to home. A big moment there for Phil Manuel in P10. That's going to be an opportunity for Mitchell Steele-Allison to close that gap a little further, but hasn't got the pace. Manuel has done a brilliant job of getting the traction back underneath him. He's actually picked up a little bit of room there. I would have thought that Mitchell would have, managed to close in a little bit. That was a very, very big moment for Phil Manuel, but not to be. David Coleman just letting us know Jamie Dyke is the fuel save king. Look, I don't doubt that he's capable of it, but he's up and down a bit. That said, he's decided to go back to fuel saving, but looks things at 34.6 on the last lap. Maybe he's just in a bit of two minds at the moment, trying to work out what he's going to do.
He might have also decided, Jared, that it's better to pass Wayne Walker now, and then fuel save all the way home, rather than trying to fuel save enough to orchestrate a pass at the back end of the race.
Well, yeah, it's certainly not what you want to do. Is be trying to fight someone like Wayne Walker at full pace. If he's in heavy fuel save, you may as well burn just a little bit extra and get ahead of him now and be defending rather than trying to get past him later.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. And here are the guys, Jamie Dyke, Wayne Walker and Ryan Palmer. I'm just looking at their times. They are still just chugging around, Jared. They are definitely on fuel save mode, and if they can get it home, it's going to be a hell of a drive, no matter what position that they run it home in.
And let's jump on board with Ryan Palmer and just have a look at. Wow, that is a long way out. He's coasting from probably 700 meters out from that corner. He's coasting it through. So this is some next level fuel saving, and really all he's going to have to do here is just match Wayne Walker. And I reckon that's a pretty good strategy. We know Wayne's usually pretty on the money with how he approaches this, and it's a good result. Although Ryan Palmer still managing to set the rear end out there, he is absolutely just coasting through so much of this track. I don't think I've ever seen this sort of restraint from Ryan Palmer in particular.
No, he is very much maturing in his driving, though, Jared. He spent a fair bit of money recently upgrading his sim, and to give him credit, he upgraded his racecraft and his maturity at the same time, and it is a big credit to him. 12 months ago, ADHD was a bit of a laugh, and as we see, talk about a bit of a laugh, there we go. How's that for a move? Craig Schultz putting on an absolute drift masterclass there. Not sure that it's the fastest way around the track.
We probably save that for the cool-down lap usually, don't we?
Yeah, we absolutely do. But yeah, just to finish off that comment about Brian Palmer, 12 months ago, ADHD was a genuine laugh. And through a lot of time and effort, Ryan and myself have worked hard to improve ourselves. But Ryan in particular, not only is he finishing races, but he's frequently finishing them very well, and he deserves the credit that he's gotten off a few people, because he is racing really well, and I think that he's in exactly the right spot tonight, tucked up behind Wayne Walker. If Wayne can't do it, then probably no one can, although Coleman has rightly pointed out that Jamie Dyke is awfully good at fuel saving as well. But as long as he hangs somewhere around those guys, he'll be a good company to try and get this fuel saving job done.
Yeah, still a lot of laps, but they're counting down very, very quickly. We're pretty well at the halfway point, or just beyond the halfway point of this race, and Matt Vanderkraan and Dean Logsdale out in front, starting to get themselves a bit of a gap, just building up here from Jim Caparonis in P3, and a couple of seconds between all of the drivers behind them. Really what these guys will be watching is the gap back to the likes of Jamie Dyke, of Wayne Walker, who are all sitting about, let's call it 25.5 to 27 seconds behind at the moment, which is, it's not quite enough for these guys to get in and out of the pits ahead of them. Now, that said, the big advantage that Vanderkraan and Logsdale have is that the longer they drag this on under green flag racing, the more that they should be able to open up a gap on those three, and it's certainly for the last 10 laps or whatever they'd end up doing once they come out of the pits. Walker, Dyke, Palmer, they're going to have to fuel save right to the end. They're committed to this two-stop strategy now. They're going to have to really push to see it out, and what that means is, even if Vanderkraan and Logsdale do lose a bit of track position and end up 5 or 10 seconds behind those three drivers when they come out of the pits, they're going to have fuel to go hard all the way to the end. What they don't want to do at this point is leave that pit stop too late and find themselves running out of time to close that gap again. So it's a balancing act here, isn't it?
It is, Jared. The issue for these guys, if they pit and come out behind Dyke, Walker and Palmer, isn't necessarily the track position. Like you said, they've got the ability to run flat out all the way to the end. The problem for these guys is if they come out behind other cars. It's so hard to pass here that if they've just got a nice clean run up to the back of Ryan Palmer, then they'll be okay. But if they've got to pass cars while doing it, that might be a very different proposition.
Yeah, and they'll just be hoping that everyone else comes in at about the same time and clears the path for them. That's pretty much their ideal right now. It's really the top 10 are the last cars that haven't made their second stop at this point, save for Craig Rose and Andrew Johnston back in the mid-20s. And what Vanderkraan and Logsdale are praying for here is that when they come in, they see the rest of that top 10 follow them through, because that means that all that's going to be on track between them and the effective front runners is clean air, and that's the best they can hope for at this point. Simon Haynes is in for his second pit stop, so it'll give you a bit of an idea. He was sitting in fifth, I think, when he came in, so it'll give you a bit of a feel for just how far off Vanderkraan and Logsdale may be when they come through for their pit stop. But as you see on your screen, Wayne Walker and Ryan Palmer still just rolling around at the moment. The gap to Jamie Dyke out in front has extended a little further, and Dyke is definitely driving to a very specific number that he's got in mind, somewhere around the minute 33 mark. It seems to be what he's aiming at, whereas Walker and Palmer solidly in the mid 34s, and they are definitely holding Simon Farrington up here. Some other good results throughout, and being noted in the chat as well. Some good results for Andrew Rushworth so far. He's up 9 spots. Obviously a second pit stop to come, but it's a good place for him to be at the moment. And you can see a fair few movers. Mick Clifton and Joel Ostervale as well in the double-digit improvement. Jamie McKnight is through his 2 stops, and granted has a bit of fuel saving to do, but he's up 11 in 14th, as is Phil Manuel in 19th. Matt Vanderkraan is in, so he's decided it's time. Dean Logsdale continues, so we'll see how this one plays out. But Logsdale now with some very, very clean air ahead of him. He's going to want to make the absolute most of this as he gets down this long run. But you can see a few cars just lining up ahead, and thankfully it looks like one of the Team AJR cars just moving off to the side and giving him some space here. Dean Logsdale with 5 seconds back to Jim Caparonis, and a whole lot of space ahead of him to try and make this run. Now Matt Vanderkraan starting to drop through the field. He's on the way out of the pits, and we go on board with Ryan Palmer, who's just come past that pit exit, and it looks as though Matt Vanderkraan will be slotting in just at the back of this train. So he is right there, only Simon Farrington between Vanderkraan and the duo of Walker and Palmer. That's not good news for either of these drivers, because Vanderkraan will be absolutely pushing for the next 12 or 13 laps, and these guys do not have the fuel to respond to that.
No, they don't, but they're actually, the flip side is that they're in the right spot, Jared. They're in front. So Vanderkraan has to pass, and you've seen with Simon Farrington, he has been forced to just run around behind these 2 guys. So Matt Vanderkraan's, he's pretty quick. It'll be interesting to see what he does from here, but there's every possibility that he gets held up for a while, and it becomes pretty difficult to pass. But those guys are certainly on a fuel-saving mission, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him get through. I'm just not sure that it will be a walk in the park. We do see Logsdale and Caparonis in as well, though. So really, this race is all starting to flush itself out.
And this is exactly what Vanderkraan would have been hoping for. The rest of the field starting to peel in there and get into those pits and get their second pit stops done. It's going to play out nicely for him if he can make it past a few more of these cars before they get back out on track. And it does look like he's going to just keep rolling through fairly comfortably in the end. So really, it's just Vigar and Schultz out in front yet to think about their second pit stop. As we see, Ryan Palmer is going to make the move on Wayne Walker. He's decided he's had enough of sitting in behind. He's saved enough. A little bit of contact there. Wayne Walker pushed out to the curb. That's not going to do either of them any favours, though, because here comes Matt Vanderkraan. He's taken full advantage. He is alongside Wayne Walker. Walker's going to have nothing in the tank to respond here. What do you do as Wayne Walker at this point? You're so committed to this strategy. Is it one of those nights where it's just not going to play out for you, and you just have to hang in there and hope that Vanderkraan's the only one that catches you here?
Yeah, possibly. I think we'll see one of 2 things here with Palmer. He's either following Jamie Dyke's lead and decided that being in front of Wayne Walker is better, or he has given up with 12 laps to go on the possibility of fuel saving, and he is now bolting. So I think we'll see in his lap time in the next couple of minutes. Jamie Dyke's up the road. He is still, or certainly on his last lap, was still punching out those mid-34s. So Jamie Dyke's a little bit further up the road. But, it's I guess it's time to see over the next couple of laps exactly how this pans out between Palmer, Vanderkraan, Dyke, Wayne Walker. We're still interested to see whether these guys can get home on such an early stop.
Well, here's Dean Logsdale fresh from his stop, and he's right on Jamie Dyke's tail. So Dyke in a great position if he's got the fuel for the run home. Just a quick note, you might have seen, folks, the message from race control there a 5-second time penalty to 3 cars for pit lane infringements. The most impacted of that will be Jim Caperonis in P9 currently, although he's making his way up past a couple of cars now, and it looks as though what's happened to Ryan Palmer. He's had a big moment, and it actually looks as though he's gotten caught up with Matt Vanderkraan as well. So Vanderkraan's in behind. We'll go back and we'll take a look and see if we can catch what's happened here. Vanderkraan's gone to go around the outside. He's actually locked the brakes up, so separate incidents. Vanderkraan just getting it pulled up before that tyre wall, and he was probably staring at that gap, just waiting to see if he was going to get there. But Ryan Palmer, I don't know whether he's just relaxed a little too much on seeing this, but he's had his own moment there. Big lock up of the inside, and he's gone straight into that tyre wall. So not at all what he would have wanted for the rest of his run, but that's going to set him back a long way through the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I expect that Ryan will probably need repairs after that, which is a shame. And Matt Vanderkraan obviously lost a huge amount of time. That really leaves us Jamie Dykes out in front. Mark Poynton is now in second and pushing hard. He very much had a battle with Wayne Walker on that lap to grab a couple of positions. But it's time to see what happens from here. A couple, we've seen certainly one of the fuel savers, bite the dust, and now it's time to see what happens with the rest of them.
Just trying to figure out what's happened, because Dean Logsdale has dropped way down through the field. He's actually pulled off to the side there to get out of Mark Poynton's way. I'm not sure what's happened to Logsdale, but he is well off the pace all of a sudden, and has dropped a long way back from Jamie Dykes. I don't know what's happened there. I can't see an incident for him, but he has actually managed to pass with Jamie Dykes and Rick Vigar. I think that was Vigar on the way through. We might catch it here. Let's go back and take a look. So keep your eye here on Logsdale. Gets past Jamie Dykes. Oh, and a big contact there. Actually sends one of the... who's that? That might be one of the lap drivers in... Is that Rick Vigar? Perhaps getting sent into the wall there. And I think Logsdale might have actually been backing right off that to redress that. And unfortunately, it's sent him right back through the field. So not the finish that we had hoped to see for Dean Logsdale there. He looks to be back on pace now, but finds himself a long way back, and Jamie Dykes out in front. He is just running whatever sort of pace he needs to get through the next 10 or so laps. Conscious that Mark Poynton is 2.8 seconds behind. That's going to go in no time at all. But have a look at this absolute train of cars just a few hundred metres back. Jay McKnight at the head of this little group. Luke Orman and Simon Haynes getting into McKnight. A bit of an error there. That's going to give Orman the opportunity up the inside. Simon Haynes is going to stick the nose in as well. A little bit of a panel rub there, but nothing too serious. Jay McKnight back on the inside. He'll maintain that spot, but only just. Simon Haynes just the slightest bit too slow to make that move. Matt Vanderkraan right behind him in ninth is trying desperately to claw his way back up through the field. Wayne Walker now under attack from Jim Caperonis, who's going to need to move a long way up through the field to try and offset that 5-second penalty he's got waiting for him at the end of this race. It's a fair gap from this group forward though. Dean Logsdale still 6.4 ahead of Wayne Walker at the moment, and that gap is just climbing as Walker does everything he can to make it home without another stop. He is absolutely off the fastest pace. Set a 131.9 earlier in this race. Last lap a 134.5, and we are getting closer and closer to him running 35s at this stage.
He seems to be slowing and slowing. Jamie Dykes not so much. He's continuing to operate anywhere between a 33, a very low 33, and a low 34. But yeah, certainly, Wayne Walker, we're just seeing get slower and slower. But it's he knows what he's got to do, and I don't think we're going to see the win from him, Jared. But
that said, Jamie Dykes
drive.
Jamie Dykes has just had a slowdown there, so he's obviously still pushing hard. Dean Logsdale, though, has picked up a black flag. Now, whether that is, there you go, that's the drive-through penalty for Dean Logsdale for the contact with car 014, which is, yeah, look, it's not, that's sending Rick Viger into law. We saw it earlier. That's going to put Logsdale back even further in the field, and his night just going from what was looking a really promising drive to probably a bit of a mid-pack finish for him by the time all this is said and done.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but that's another one down. Certainly for Jamie Dyke, I think that's where he looks now. He's, it's Mark Poynton, potentially Jim Caperonis there. Jamie Dyke dropped all the way to a 34.7 on that lap, and he is absolutely getting monstered now by Mark Poynton. The race is definitely on out the front, Jared.
Yeah, it's gonna come around really, really quickly, isn't it? And look, honestly, at this stage, with the gap that Dyke has back to Caperonis, I know Jamie's not going to be happy with the second place. It's not in his nature, but you wouldn't argue with it either, considering the fuel saving work that he's been putting in. And let's jump on board for just a moment and see, just how light he is running this, because he's absolutely not foot to the floor through the gears here either. He's not far off it, but he's trying everything he can to save. The problem he's got right now, though, of course, is Mark Poynton right on his tail, and there he is, the Frog Leap Juice car, absolutely filling the mirror for Jamie Dyke, and it's going to be really hard for Dyke to maintain his composure under this sort of pressure, and still fight this one with such little fuel on board. But look at him sitting in the middle of the track, just forcing Poynton to really make a low percentage move if he wants to get the pass done. Jamie Dyke doing everything he can to make this car 3 or 4 times as wide as it usually looks. And so far, so good. He seems to be holding Poynton at bay, but can he keep it up for another 6 laps? That's the big question.
Yeah, I think that, there's really only 2 passing opportunities here, Jared. So as long as Jamie keeps his straight line speed somewhere where it needs to be and brakes late enough, but as we say that, Poynton just keeps his foot buried in it and immediately dives down the inside. Jamie Dyke here, he has one crack at getting that position back, but I think you'll see him now just immediately resign himself to needing to go back to fuel saving. He tried everything, he put a lot of effort into keeping him behind, but the problem with fuel saving, over a second a lap is just around that ability to maintain the straight line speed that you need to keep cars behind.
And the problem he's got now is Jim Caperonis has a nice fresh tank of fuel on board with him as well. So he's going to be pushing hard all the way to the end. And that 7-second gap is coming down really, really quickly. It's looking closer to 5.5 now. The laps, thankfully, running out fairly quickly. So Jamie Dyke is absolutely keeping an eye on that gap behind him. And his ideal here is probably going to have Jim Caperonis finishing somewhere around 2/10 off the back of Jamie Dyke's car by the time we get to the end of this race. That's my guess at this point.
Yeah, I think that the other thing that we need to focus on here is it's flown under the radar, but Jamie McKnight, Jared, we're looking at him right now. He's up 19 positions. He last pitted on lap 5. So he got 2 pits. He pit stop on lap 1, a pit stop on lap 5. He has now already done 25 laps on a 24-lap tank of fuel. So he's doing fantastic already. Does he have enough to get home? We've been focusing a lot on Dyke, Walker and Palmer, given that they were the 3 guys out the front. But if Jamie McKnight can get home from here, then whilst it won't be a win, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic result. Even if he gives up, a couple of positions to the cars behind him, he's still looking at being up over 15 positions on his start, and that's a really fantastic result if he can make it home without needing to pit again.
which I've got a question, right? Because he's just run his fastest lap at 33.34 on the last lap. So he's definitely been in fuel save the whole race, because that's not a quick lap compared to the rest of the field. But he's certainly maintaining a pretty reasonable pace. So McKnight is definitely playing the long game on the fuel save here. Mark pointing out in front, only a second or so over Jamie Dyke here, which is really interesting. It'll be interesting to see what Dyke's lap time looks like as he comes around here, and whether he's decided to lift the pace a bit. It was a 34 flat last time through, so that's dropped. Jamie Dyke has decided, no, I've got the fuel for this. He's run a 32.5. He wants this win. He reckons he can make it home on the fuel that he's saved so far. This is going to be a very, very interesting finish. I think Jamie Dyke will have that car across the line, absolutely coughing and spluttering as he brings it through. Luke Orman right on Wayne Walker's tail at the moment. Walker's had to lift the pace a little bit as well. He's up to the low 33s, and Luke Orman going with him with a bit of extra fuel on board, but perhaps not as much as he'd like. The last pit stop for him on lap 15, it should be enough to get him home. The question is, how much room has he left himself to battle it out here with Walker? And does he know just how tight Wayne Walker is going to be on fuel? Hard to say at this point. This group continues though. Jay McKnight in 6th, still holding Simon Haynes and Matt Vanderkruijm at bay as they make their way along the back straight-ish section. Joel Osterwald picking up a slowdown in the background there. It's a massive drive from from Jay McKnight. Sorry. I don't know. I mean, he's running so consistently at 33.82 to follow his fastest lap of a 33.34. He is absolutely on a number. Although you see a big moment there as he gets the car very sideways. That's going to invite Simon Haynes through. So McKnight loses a position there. Just a bit of a lock of the rear wheels as he got onto the brakes there, and that's allowed Simon Haynes up into 6th. Jay McKnight still up 18 positions, so don't take anything away from him just yet, and it's not done. As he comes in, there you go. He's found the limit, and he'll be in for a splash and dash and back out. Look, a bit of a shame. We'll see where he ends up finishing out this race, but he's not going to be quite as far up the table as what he would have hoped. That said, a couple other drivers who've had great nights in terms of their movement so far. Troy Sipple up 13 into 10th, and just a couple of seconds behind him, Phil Manuel is up 19 positions into 11th. So some big moves throughout the field, just some good timing on their pit stops and running it home from here as we get into the dying stages of this race. It's definitely a great result for those two drivers as well.
Yeah, there's a number of drivers, Jared, that have had good nights. It looks like Jamie McKnight's back out on the track. He's still up 10 spots, so he has. He's still had a fantastic race. Pointing up 6, Dyke up 7 at the moment. Simon Haynes up 7. There's a couple of guys who have really, on a track that's incredibly hard to pass on. They've done a really fantastic job. And then we see some others, obviously Logsdale running into trouble with the stewards, and Matt Vanderkruijm having that really big moment where he had to run down the escape road, but back to the front, and we're absolutely on for a battle over the last 3 laps. If Jamie Dyke has managed to save enough fuel to be able to run this thing flat out home, he's an absolute genius. I need to ask him where he hides. Yeah, he's got a magic wand somewhere that he's doing all sorts of spells, and he is absolutely on the money now. Although on that last lap, Mark Poynton made a big mistake. He was 2.5 seconds slower than Jamie, so Jamie has got a bit of a sniff, and like a shark, when you just drop one drop of blood in the water, he's smelt something here, and he is on. And to be 33 laps in, Jared, 2 wildly different strategies, and to be 0.3 of a second apart from each other is absolutely fantastic. These laps will go very quickly. We're going to lose opportunities to see this pass done. Those opportunities are going to disappear so quickly, but Jamie Dyke here, Fishy Motorsport, absolutely all over the back of Poynton from goodness me, Frog Leap Juice Racing. It's a battle for the ages, and just fantastic to see these two guys still going at it so fiercely after so many laps.
That said, Jamie Dyke just almost looked like he was backing it out of it a little bit there. He's had the gap open up a bit, down to 6 tenths now. Is that because Poynton's found the driver? Is Jamie Dyke actually reconsidering his fuel numbers because he's not quite sticking with Poynton at the moment? That said, Jamie Dyke was a half second slower, sorry, on that lap than Poynton. So there's not a lot in it. I don't want to jinx it, but I am really worried at the moment that we're going to see Jamie Dyke cough and splutter and actually not make it home here.
I think that Jamie's pretty clever, and I think that he knows how to buy himself just a little bit of fuel. And the plan with that, Jared, being that if he does get a sniff, that he knows that he's got, a half a lap or a lap up his sleeve that he can go absolutely flat out, try and get a pass done. And when it didn't get that, unfortunately, now he settles back into his rhythm, make sure that he saves a bit more fuel, and he'll see whether there's another issue for Poynton that might see him be able to get a pass done. It looked like Clifton there was in all sorts, and we see here the two pink cars, ADHD and your Gangatangus Racing, probably two of the wildest team names that you'll ever come across.
Big moment for Steele Allison.
Yeah, Mitch Steele Allison there has a pretty good save, and now suddenly has Quantum cars absolutely everything he's got to do with.
He was about to get sandwiched by Vargs and Sips there, and lucky to get away with it in the end. I thought they were going to go 3 wide for a moment.
Not a good place to do it, and I reckon Ryan will be looking in the rear vision mirror, seeing all that carnage, and just quietly chuckling to himself and looking to get it. Get a couple more seconds up the road and be comfortable. But we're on the last lap here. There's still only 0.2 of a second. Jamie Dyke is, he's lost his opportunity to pit, so he's either going to make it home or he's not. There's no other way to it, Jared. There won't be much in the tank here, and you can see with the amount of curb that Jamie's taking, he is absolutely looking to do everything he can to get this pass done. He mightn't be using a huge amount of fuel, but he is using a huge amount of the racetrack, and he is really tucked right up behind the back of Mark Poynton here. Less than 3 tenths in it. This will be a big call to get a pass done here. I think that Jamie Dyke might have to settle for second, but he will throw everything at it. He closes that gap right up. Now we've got these never-ending left-hand corners, and Jamie Dyke is absolutely all over the back of Mark Poynton. One tiny little mistake here, really difficult right-hander to get through. This is the opportunity for a mistake to get made, and Mark Poynton deals with it well. He gets out of there, still in the lead, and has done a fantastic job across this last lap. Only 2 more corners to get through now. He will absolutely have a mirror chock-a-block full of bright green fish, and this has been an absolutely extraordinary race. Some absolutely great speed on show from Mark Poynton, but what a fantastic job from Jamie Dyke to drag that thing all the way home from a lap 6 pit stop.
Save that thought for Jim Caperonis coming home in 3rd as well. Wayne Walker manages to get it home in 4th place, which, it may not be the top of the table he was hoping for, but what a drive to get it home with the last pit stop on lap 6. He's done a great job, as has Jamie Dyke. The night does belong to Mark Poynton, but take nothing away from the guys who have done probably some of the most impressive fuel-saving work that I think I've ever seen. Jamie Dyke, I suspect, is completely out of fuel here and waiting for a bit of a nudge along. Either that or he's about to use up what little fuel he's got left to fry those tyres. I don't think he's got much of anything there.
That flashing light at the back indicates to me that car is turned off, and that would indicate that he is absolutely out of fuel.
Well, that'll do it. And we see Mark Poynton celebrating in style. Get a bit of smoke going and use up whatever's left on those tyres, because he has come home with a cracker of a win tonight and deserves to celebrate a little bit of that. Let's take a look at the race results there before we do have a chat to a couple of the drivers as they make their way on in to the green room and wait for us. Mark Poynton, in the end, getting home by just under 3 tenths. A huge drive from Jamie Dyke to hang in there, but just couldn't quite get it home in the end. Jim Caperonis picks up 3rd place. Wayne Walker a great fuel saving drive from him as well to finish in 4th. Then Luke Orman and Simon Haynes ahead of Matt Vanderkraan, Dean Logsdale and Andrew Rushworth. Joel Lusterval comes home in 10th place. Jamie McKnight, look, a great drive, and would have been great to see him come home a few spots higher, but he ends up back in 13th behind Mitch Wood and Mick Clifton. Simon Farrington in 14th ahead of Ryan Palmer in 15th, then Vargs and Sips in 16th and 17th. Phil Manuel comes home in 18th in the end, and Mitchell Steele-Allison in 19th ahead of Craig Schultz as the 20th place finisher. What a way to finish off Belle Isle. That was... I don't even understand how Jamie Dyke and Wayne Walker can save that much fuel and still put in those lap times. That absolutely baffles me, Josh.
Yeah, I think that it's safe to say that they're far more talented at everything now than you and I. We already knew that they were faster and just all around better, but now we can add that they use less fuel than us too.
Well, look, I can't argue. I have literally no way to argue any of that because it's all absolutely spot on, and that is certainly something I'm really curious to go back and take a look at the lap by lap times for those guys, because they must have managed that to within a few tenths for so much of the racing tonight. This is how the provisional points stack up after that race. Dean Logsdale retains his top spot. Wayne Walker moves up one. Andrew Rushworth down one. Vanderkraan and Orman move up a bit. Jason Bent's not the greatest night for him, so likely to drag him back a little bit. But Vargs and Poynton finish ahead of Fisher and Ken Latta. And then Jamie Dyke will jump up into P11. So he's just outside the top 10, but we'll wait and see what happens with a few of the drop rounds coming into play there. We will, of course, get a nice little update on that in the coming days as everything starts to kind of round out and all of the penalties and the like are added up. We'll have a bit of a moment now though to chat to a couple of these drivers, and let's get started with second place and one of the most impressive fuel saving efforts that I think we've ever seen. Jamie Dyke, welcome to the booth, my friend.
Hey mate, how are we?
Look, I'm still staggered that you made it home with any fuel left at all. There wasn't much, I take it, by the time you got across the line. But when we saw you put the foot down a couple laps out to stay with Mark Poynton, we were a little worried for you. I'm not going to lie. How was it behind the wheel?
No, it's fine. It was I had a target fuel number that I had to achieve since the stop. Because I ended up from where we pit, we had to say, everyone on my strategy had to save like 4 laps. So I had a target number, and I saved heavy at the start, like heavier than Walker and everyone else. And then, the target number gave me an advantage that I could push more. And it just so happened that after everything that happened and Mark got past, that lap that he got past, my fuel said I'm good to push full pace.
Mate, we honestly thought that maybe just a bit of red mist there, and you decided, no, bugger it, I'm going to just send it anyway and see what happens. But yeah, look, a huge effort to save that much fuel, and it's paid off with a second place finish tonight. Probably not the first that you were hoping for, but tell you what, mate, a massive drive. Congrats on the result. Anyone you want to say hello to before we let you go back and unwind a bit?
I'll give a shout out to Whiting, who's building a PC, Coleman, who's sick, and Kenny, who's in Japan.
Excuses from all of them.
Yeah, and I'm very proud of everyone tonight. Mark drove amazing, and yeah, I did the best that I could, but I had those tyres on since lap 7, so I couldn't do much.
Mate, great result all the same. Congratulations, and hopefully we're chatting to you again in the not too distant future, hey?
We shall see.
Jamie, thanks so much, and a great race tonight, mate. Well done.
Thanks, mate.
Jamie Dyke there brings home P2. We'll go a little out of sequence as we bring into the booth our third place in race number 2, Jim Caperonis. Jim, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm stoked, being honest with you. An old bloke like me, 60 years old, mixing it with these young spring chickens, I'm ecstatic.
Mate, a solid drive, and you did it almost a little under the radar there, just a whole lot of clean air as everyone kind of peeled away in front of you. But you kept the pace up right through and did a great job just climbing up through it as the pit stops kind of went on. Was there a point that you kind of had a pretty good inkling that you were on for a podium here tonight?
Well, look, with all due respect, some of these drivers, or most of them, are really, really quick, and I was just happy to hang in there. I made a silly mistake. I don't know if you captured it on screen, but I was behind Dean, and I hit the wall out of turn 3, and really slowed me down and lost a lot of time. So I sort of battled on. Steering was a bit hayward, but I kept going, and so I'm really happy with that. I just kept plugging away. I didn't make too many mistakes apart from that one, and just kept going. So it was good.
Cannot argue with that. A great result for you and for Southern Cross tonight. And look, honestly, well deserved. You had some great pace through qualifying as well, and race 1, perhaps not quite as good a result as perhaps you might have expected with the qualifying times, but really race 2, absolutely coming to you there, and a great drive, mate. Congrats. Anyone you want to say hello to while we've got you?
Yeah, I just want to thank my team boss, Hoff. He was spotting for me today, which was really good. He helped me out heaps, so really appreciate his efforts. I actually did I come 4th in race 1? I don't even remember. I think I did.
I think you weren't far off it, yeah, because you moved up 4th, just the one spot. I guess, look, a pretty good night of racing all around, really, for you, Jim.
I'm happy with that. Look, the competition in this league is extra. It's just unbelievable.
It's pretty next level.
I'm really blown away by it. Your streaming is amazing. I watch it straight after the race every single time. So thank you for doing such a great job. Just want to thank the rest of the drivers for being so respectful. Such a respectful league, and thanks to the admins for putting on such a great show. Appreciate it.
Mate, I'm right there with you. I am stunned at how few safety cars we had tonight. This is Belle Isle, after all.
Yeah, I know. I was expecting one on lap 1.
Well, we both were here in the booth, and look, despite a couple of the incidents, it was, for such a tight street circuit, it was actually a really, really clean race tonight, and mate, you've made the best of it, so congrats on some great points for you. That's going to absolutely bump you up the table a bit,
really
I'm sure.
Appreciate it.
Well done,
this
Jim.
This one was for the over 60s.
There you go. Love it, mate. Love it. We're all on our way there at one stage or another, right?
Have a lovely one. Thank you, guys.
Good work, Jim. Thank you.
See you guys. Bye-bye. Bye.
Great result there for Jim Caperonis and for Southern Cross Racing. We go now to race 2 winner, Mark Poynton, Frog Leap Juice Racing. Mark, mate, welcome to the booth. It feels like a little while since we've had a chance to chat to you, but you've been in the mix pretty well every round so far. Paid off for you tonight, though, didn't it?
It certainly did, mate. I'll try not to leave it this long before we speak next time.
Yeah, look, if you could bring it back around a bit more often, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
Yeah, sorry.
Now, look, a really solid drive, and just getting the better of the couple of different strategies that we saw play out tonight. It was a very, very interesting one for us here in the booth as we tried to figure out, who was going to have what it took to make it home on their strategy. How was it for you trying to figure that out in the car on the fly?
I'd sort of mapped out a rough guide going into the race, so it wasn't too bad to do it on the fly, but there was still a little bit of indecision. Did I do the right thing? Should I have dropped fuel loads? Should I have... there's quite a lot of things that I didn't realise was going to pay out until about 5 laps to go. So, it was... It worked out well. There's a few things that went in my favour, but I'll certainly take the win. And for Jamie to pit on lap 7 and make it home, that is an awesome effort on fuel saving. So it's not something I could have done.
Oh, mate, it's absolutely floored, both Josh and I here as we watched it happen, and Wayne Walker replicating it for P4 as well. Those guys have both put in massive fuel saving efforts. I cannot imagine the right foot discipline that it takes to to get that sort of distance. I will ask on that note, though, you know, Jamie Dyke obviously saving fuel for a long time there. You've caught him and gone past. How did it feel to see him then lift the pace behind you?
Yeah, I did get concerned. Jamie's Jamie's pretty quick, and yeah, I figured that when I saw him behind and maintaining and catching, I thought, oh, he's got his fuel number and he's gonna get past. But yep, I was pretty happy to hold him off, and that's not an easy task. I was I shouldn't have been, but I was driving in my mirrors looking where he was, that's for sure.
That is a very brave move here at Belle Isle. There's a lot of walls you should probably be looking ahead at, but in the end, it's worked out. Probably a tighter margin than what we all expected at the end there, but great to see it battle all the way to the finish line there. Awesome result for you and for Frog Leap Juice Racing, of course, in the championship standings. Anyone you want to say hello to before we let you go and unwind a bit from that one?
Just a big thanks to you guys, the broadcast. Obviously, the guys behind the scenes in race control and admin. It's very much appreciated. Otherwise, we couldn't go racing. And then on a personal note for the team, for Frog Leap, obviously juiced energy drinks. We've got Racecraft, Tailored Consultancy Services, and Blue Stampede Labour Hire. Do it without them either.
Got to love a bit of support. We were talking about that earlier in the broadcast, just the amount of difference it makes to have a bit of backing for not only the league, but for all of the drivers as well, mate. So great to hear you've got some good support there, and it's certainly paid off for tonight as well. Mate, huge race. Go get yourself some well-earned beverages of your choice, and hopefully we're chatting to you again in the next couple of rounds, eh?
Fingers crossed.
Nice work tonight, Mark. Well done on the race result there in the second race.
Nice. Thanks, mate.
Mark Boynton takes the win there, Josh. It was a pretty impressive little finish that we got to see play out. I still can't figure out for the life of me how Jamie and Wayne have managed to make it home on the fuel they did, but it's ended up with a much more intense finish than I think I expected from Belle Isle.
Yeah, it was a fantastic result. And I have just jumped onto our telemetry recorder, Jared, and I can tell you now that the guys were saving 40 mils a lap.
40 mils?
Sorry. That would be 400 mils a lap.
That's a pretty significant volume to not be putting through the motor each lap. And to do it every single lap for 35 almost.
Yeah, every lap so they've done a really fantastic job. That's a huge fuel save. Pulling that much fuel out of it is genuinely a big challenge. They've done a really good job, and it's a credit to them for the hard work that they all went to, and you're absolutely right. I'm just looking here, Jared, just for our viewers' understanding, those guys were coasting for some 100 metres into turn 3. So at the end of the straight, they were off the throttle for 100 metres before they even touched the brake. And to be fair, they were probably on the brakes a little bit earlier than usual. So there was a huge amount of work being done by those guys. They were doing a really fantastic job, and it's a shame for Ryan Palmer for him to end his race how he did. Obviously, Matt Vanderkraan ran off, but Jamie Dyke and Wayne Walker, just an absolutely stellar fuel-saving drive, and of course that doesn't take away from Mark Poynton and Jim Caparonis, but a couple of really special things tonight, and everyone that finished up the front really deserves to be incredibly proud of what they did, because whether they did it through speed and aggression or through fuel saving, 35 laps around this place is a really difficult thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely no joke at all, no matter which way you approached it. To get those sort of results in this company is always an achievement that's worth shouting out and being pretty proud of. So massive congrats to everybody on the race this evening, if for no other reason than keeping it out of the walls and not having a massive 10-car pile-up somewhere around the track, because let's be honest, that's what we always expect when you come to somewhere like Belle Isle, these street circuits. tend to lend themselves to some pretty epic moments. Thankfully tonight, the most epic of the moments that we've seen have been in the battles rather than in the crashes. So a great night of racing for us to cover here. That is, of course, the end of round 4 here at Belle Isle. It's been a very, very interesting round, and a massive thank you, as always, to Solarguard Saint-Gobain for their support of the Alliance Sim Racing Supercar Championship, as well as Quantum Tint Solutions, AA West Automotive, and Nicol Photography with 24/7 sim services handling the race control once again. Next week, we will be back home in Australia for round 5 from Sandown Raceway, which always puts on an awesome show with the supercars. And I know a lot of these drivers will be absolutely salivating at the thought of getting back onto Sandown's beautiful, beautiful asphalt. Until next time, though, do look after yourselves. We've got more racing on Simple Racing Broadcast if you do want to just keep up with things over the next couple of days before we get your dose of V8 Supercar action again on Tuesday night next week. Until then, whenever we do see you next, do look after yourselves. It's goodbye for now.